Today we're going to be reflowing a PlayStation 3 that has the yellow ring of death. It's basically, if you see my 8800 GT video, it's basically the same exact thing, except, you know, obviously this is with the PlayStation. First thing you're going to do, and this does void your warranty. Most likely if you're doing this you don't have a warranty. You want to check that first, obviously, but is you're going to want to take this warranty sticker off, and underneath there's a little plastic plug. It's made out of rubber, so it bends. You can put something in there to pry it. Then what you're going to need is one of these Torx screwdrivers. It is a T10x3. I think this is the only time you're going to need this to get this top cover off and to put it back on. Make sure you keep track of all your screws, place them in order. You're going to remember, you know, how everything goes back. Once you get that off, this slides up like that and then off just like that. Then we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 screws. All of these screws are the same size except for this one here in the corner. So you want to make sure you don't put a long screw over here, because you definitely could end up either poking through the plastic or shorting something out. You don't want that. Okay. I was going to place these back in, like I said. Just makes it easier. That way they don't go falling on the floor too. So we're going to take that out first. There's a ribbon underneath here. There's a ribbon right here. You just flip this up like that and the ribbon comes out. Then there's a plug in the front for the power. Just pull that out like that. Let's set it aside. We're going to take off the this is actually the Wi-Fi here. So just going to take that off. It's just one screw. It's one screw, and then there's your Wi-Fi clip there. That you can either leave that on the board because that's coming off too, or you can pop it off and then just pop it back on later. I prefer to pop it off, just makes it easier. Again, keep your screws with, you know, try to keep your screws in everything that you pulled them out of. It just makes it easier when you go to put it back together. We'll be taking this off now. There's a ribbon right here. You just want to pull that forward and then pull the ribbon out. And then you want to unscrew these two screws here. Next, we're going to take the power supply off. There's a ground here with the washer. You want to make sure you don't lose that inside here somewhere. And then there's two screws right here. Two screws right here and a screw right here. Altogether there's 6 screws that you're going to undo. Alright, now you're going to take this plug here and just pull that out. That's just that just gives the board the electricity from the power supply. Now I'm just undoing the ground. what I'll do, because this doesn't really, you can't really take it off and we're going to be moving this around, is I'll take a piece of tape and I'll just tape that screw, that ground screw and washer, right on the wire itself, just so it doesn't get lost. What we're going to do is we're going to remove this this heat plate. First you want to undo these two plates right here. They're a little bigger, the screw heads, but yeah, see, I'm going to need a different screwdriver for that. So you want to get something with a bigger head, like that. So you don't want to strip these. Okay. So now that we have that done, we're going to want to remove these screws here. They all have arrows on them. These basically just hold this plate on here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And these are not the same size screws, so definitely want to keep these in order. This should be the last screw right here. Alright, once you get that off, this plate, get the clip, yeah, there's a clip right here. You just want to pull that clip forward, and then this pretty much pulls out. It's probably going to be hard to show you this, but this clips on the top here that go into here. So when you pull that forward like that, you're going to have to lift it up like this and then pull it out that way. So now you have your motherboard right here. What you're going to do is, on the side here is where your hard drive is. Sometimes you can get your finger in there and just pull it out. If not, get a small screwdriver, flathead screwdriver. There's a screw inside here that you're going to need to undo. It's blue. Now, what you're going to want to do is pull this back this way to the back of the system, and then out. That removes your hard drive. Now that you have that off, what you're going to do is pull this plug here, just to give you something to grab onto. It clips in down here, so this is a good spot to pry the motherboard off. You just pull that off like that. Then there is a fan plug underneath here on the bottom left hand side of the board. That's going to need to be unplugged. Probably be easier to show you once I unplug it. Plugs in right there. These are the two problems we're going to be dealing with here. We're going to reflow both these chips here. And that should take care of this issue anyways. Another thing we may do is a fan mod, but I'm not going to do that in this video. What that does is allows you to bump up the RPMs on the fan to prevent this from happening again. Now what we're going to do is clean off all of this here, this old thermal paste nail polish remover. That's what works best. You can see that cleaned up pretty good. I think this stuff's like $2, Walmart. Can't beat it. Might look a little funny with you know, you sitting around with nail polish remover, but hey, you know. Alright, now you can do the same thing with the chips over here. Clean them off real good. Make sure you don't get any of that thermal paste on the motherboard. Try not to make too much of a mess. What we're going to do next is we're going to take this No Clean Flux. It's Kester 951. You can get this on eBay. And we're going to go around these chips. And what the flux does, it just makes the solder melt easier. So we're going to, if you're not going to be able to see this, but if you looked down underneath here, you'd see that these are sitting on balls of solder. This stuff is going to go in between those balls and help the reflow of the solder. So we're going to start the hot air gun at 100 degrees Celsius. Okay. Now we're going to take this flux. I'm going to go around the chip. I'm going to start on this chip here. And you should see it come out the other side. This is no clean flux, so we don't really have to worry about it. But you'll see it coming out the bottom there. Okay, so we've reflowed both chips. I'm letting it sit now. It's good to let it sit before you even touch it. You want to let it sit for at least a half an hour. Okay, so after the reflow, what I did is I let it sit overnight. Only because, I mean, you don't have to let it sit overnight. You want to let it sit for a good half an hour anyways. I let it sit overnight because I was done working, so. One thing I do want to mention before I do reassemble this is you're going to want to make sure that you put a nice even coat, a thin layer of thermal paste on here, and don't cheap out on the thermal paste. Get something decent like Arctic Silver. You know, these run really hot. The heat sinks on these aren't the greatest. The fans aren't the greatest on these. Like I mentioned before, I don't know if I'm going to cut that part out or not, but you know, we may do a fan mod on this because of the fan situation. It runs at too low an RPM to actually be sufficient. So yeah, anyways, I just want to mention, make sure you get a nice layer of thermal paste on there, nice thin layer of thermal paste on there. Alright, so we have it back together. I left the top off, you know, just in case we have to rip this thing back apart for whatever reason. So now I'm going to test it and see if it turns on. There you go. If you have any questions, post below. I'll do what I can to answer. And subscribe.